Kiza igice kimwe FM.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
This is Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. President Paul Kagame this afternoon arrived in Marburg, Germany to attend a presentation and discussion on BioNTech vaccine production facilities to be built across Africa. The Institute of Internal Auditors Rwanda chapter has launched a 3-day training workshop in Kigali. Members of Parliament have requested the Ministry of Health to present before the House every year before budget approval the planned activities so that Rwanda effectively implements the targets outlined in the Sustainable Development Goal 3. Tanzania is looking to set up its own vaccine manufacturing plant as part of its wider plan to tackle COVID-19 and other diseases in the country. Now the news in detail. President Paul Kagame this afternoon arrived in Marburg, Germany to attend a presentation and discussion on BioNTech vaccine production facilities to be built across Africa. President Paul Kagame is expected to be joined by BioNTech CEO Ugur Sahin, President Macky Sall of Senegal, and Ghana's President Nana Akufo-Addo, among other project partners. During the meeting initiated by the Kenya Foundation, BioNTech is expected to unveil its modular container prototype known as BioNtainers. The World Health Organization says that Africa imports approximately 99% of vaccines administered. The development of these new vaccine manufacturing facilities will significantly reduce the continent's dependence on imports. The African Union and the Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention are aiming to have 60% of Africa's vaccines produced locally by 2040. The Institute of Internal Auditors Rwanda chapter has launched a 3-day training workshop in Kigali. The training is aimed at helping auditors in Rwanda to gain more knowledge on auditing and taxes. Chief Executive Officer of the Institute of Internal Auditors Rwanda chapter, Mucho Jean-Claude Bernard, says this training will enable many of the companies and representatives that are able to attend to benefit a lot, including knowledge on tax. He says the knowledge they will gain will help them in their daily work.
Yeah, the purpose of this training is to equip our members and the internal auditors at large in the country to be aware of what are the provisions of the labor law and ministerial orders and other related regulations in the country, for them to be aware what are the provisions that they should refer to when they are doing their audits in their respective institutions. That will be part 1. Part 2, that is taking place on Friday. We are going to equip them with skills on the taxation law. We'll discuss with them what are the developments in the tax environment in the country. This is also to equip them with this knowledge so that they can help their institutions to identify where there can be some risks that is related to and compliance of the tax laws. Yeah, as we said, the objective of this training, we expected that every participant who attended here, especially for the internal auditors, they will be able to recommend some internal controls that can be put in place to avoid failure to comply with either labor laws, ministerial orders, and the tax laws that we are discussing in.
Mucho Jean-Claude Bernard speaking to Radio Imanzi. The training started today and will end on Friday 18th. This training is being attended by managers, human resource officers, and internal auditors of different organizations. Members of Parliament have requested the Ministry of Health to present before the House every year before budget approval the planned activities so that Rwanda effectively implements the targets outlined in the Sustainable Development Goal 3. The Parliament came up with a resolution after adopting the assessment report of its Committee on Social Affairs about the implementation of SDG 3 that seeks to ensure healthy lives and promote the well-being for all at all ages. Some of the SDG 3 targets include reducing the global maternal mortality ratio to less than 70 per 100,000. And end preventable deaths of newborns and under 5 years old children. Motorbike passengers in Rusizi district have complained about dirty jackets worn by motorcyclists. This is caused by the fact that these motorcyclists do not have spare work jackets. However, the Cooperative Forum of Motorcyclists in Rwanda say that within 2 weeks they are going to give out new jackets to the taxi motorcyclists. Construction of roads through the VUP program in Nyamasheke district has improved communication within the district and helped farmers to take their produce to the market. Before the construction of the roads, traveling within the district was very difficult. The Deputy Mayor of Nyamasheke District, Mukankusi Atanazi, says the roads should be well maintained for the benefit of the whole district.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
Tanzania is looking to set up its own vaccine manufacturing plant as part of its wider plan to tackle COVID-19 and other diseases in the country. President Samia Suluhu Hassan said the country was also aiming to export vaccines to Eastern and Southern African countries. She said Tanzania was likely to spend nearly $100 million by 2030 to import vaccines, hence the need to set up its own local capacity. The president, who was visiting the European Union Council President Charles Michel in Brussels, said she was submitting a proposal for support to make the project a success. The president of Burundi, Evariste Ndayishimiye, has traveled to Europe for a 2-day meeting between the African Union and the European Union to be held in Brussels, Belgium on Thursday. This comes after the European Union this week dropped its economic sanctions against Burundi, which have been enforced since 2016 for human rights violations. Algeria's President Abdelmadjid Tebboune says the government will introduce unemployment benefits for young adults as the country struggles with a jobless rate of almost 15%. The president said the payments to job seekers aged between 19 and 40 will begin in March, and it is aimed at preserving the dignity of young people. Those who are eligible will be able to collect the payments of about $100 a month, as well as some medical benefits until they find work. In addition, taxes on consumer products for beneficiaries will be suspended. Making the announcement, President Tebboune said Algeria was the first country in Africa to introduce such a benefit. The youth payment is an execution of a portion of the country's 2022 budget. Landslides and flooding triggered by heavy rainfall killed at least 18 people in a tourist town in the hills above Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. The Rio de Janeiro Fire Department said this in a statement, but the department did not provide figures for those injured or missing. The City Hall declared a statement of disaster as images spread on social media of destroyed houses and cars swept away by flood water. Many shops were completely inundated by the rising waters, which gushed down the streets of the city center. Global warming has increased the risk of heavy storms and flooding as the atmosphere retains more water and rainfall patterns are disrupted. Ukrainians raised national flags and played the country's anthem today to show unity against fears of a Russian invasion that Western powers have said could be imminent. As Russia announces a partial pullout, they are denying any responsibility for the unprecedented cyber attack targeting Ukraine's defense ministry. The NATO chief, Jens Stoltenberg, said that Russia's military buildup seemed to be continuing around Ukraine despite Moscow announcing the pullback of more forces. Economic news is a regular feature on Radio Imanzi. The Rwanda Stock Exchange market report of today. The trading session recorded a total turnover of 300,493,250 Rwandan francs worth of bonds traded in 3 deals on the fixed income market, while the equities market remained quiet. Bralirwa closed the counter at 125 Rwandan francs, Bank of Kigali at 245 Rwandan francs, I&M Bank at 45 Rwandan francs, Simerwa at 120 Rwandan francs, MTN Rwanda at 180 Rwandan francs, Equity Bank at 440 Rwandan francs, Kenya Commercial Bank at 370 Rwandan francs, National Media Group at 1,200 Rwandan francs, Uchuri Supermarket at 104 Rwandan francs, and RH Buffalo closed the counter at 526 Rwandan francs as the market closed. Currency market review of today. The Kenyan shilling buying price was 8.8 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 9 Rwandan francs. Tanzanian shilling buying price was 0.43 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 0.44 Rwandan francs. Ugandan shilling buying price was 0.28 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 0.29 Rwandan francs. The Burundian franc buying price was 0.5 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 0.51 Rwandan francs. The US dollar buying price was 104 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 1,024 Rwandan francs. The British pound buying price was 1,360 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 1,387 Rwandan francs. The euro buying price was 1,139 Rwandan francs, and the selling price was 1,162 Rwandan francs. Today's forecast from the Rwanda Meteorology Department. From 6 in the evening to midnight, there will be heavy rain and thunderstorms throughout the country with a wind speed of 3 meters per second to 4 meters per second. From midnight tonight until 6 in the morning, it will remain cloudy throughout the country with the wind speed of 2 meters per second to 4 meters per second. The lowest temperature will be 11 degrees Celsius in Nyabihu district. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.
cyane nibyo bitanga icyizere cyo kugera ku bukire. Umurimo unoze, umuturage uzi igikenewe. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM.